Hello, everybody. Hello, ladies. We're here to speak about women empowerment issues in this Global Cause Day within the Horyou Village at Cannes, Festival du Film of Cannes. So we're here with Miss Carla Ortiz, Miss Rula Nasser, Miss Aya Blouchi, Miss Joanne Reay, Miss Aurelia Ovan, and Miss Audrey Clinet. So we'll start by a short presentation about yourself and what you do. So please, please, Carla, please tell us what brings you in Cannes.
I came to Cannes to present my film. It's my first time as a producer. I've been acting for 15 years and decided to produce a film on a subject that is very delicate in South America about Operation Condor. The dictatorships and torture and disappearance of people, a very political, historical, social subject that was very successful in my country and was the official submission for the Oscars for Bolivia. So I decided to become a producer precisely because I thought that it's important for us actresses that have access to start producing and creating not just the opportunity of the viewers to see something a little bit deeper and learning and also recuperating the memory, the historic memory of other countries, and as well to relate ourselves that things that are happening in some countries already happen as well in others, and there are more things in common that we have. So that's kind of like my thing now, because I obviously did modeling before, I was a tennis player, and through acting I got to see a lot of countries, cultures, and that's what inspired me to start producing. Okay.
And may I ask you what is your pinch within the woman empowerment topic, shortly?
Well, you know, I believe very much in what Gandhi says, that you have to be the change you want to see. And I think that if we wait for the opportunity to come with us and to us, it's not going to happen. Or it will happen, but, you know, it's not going to happen as powerful as you expect it to be. So you have to create those opportunities for you. We have to stop whining and talking about it, and we have to start doing.
Yep.
And that's what I decided to do, because I had a really hard time. The reality is that there is a lot of misogynism in the world, not a little, a lot of machism. It's a reality. And instead of like becoming a victim, I think we as women have so much potential if we get together, if we unite ourselves, and we not only create the opportunity for us, but also for men. So we set a different example, and we don't segregate the way they do, because, I mean, in a way, while I was producing, I was always the actress that I was producing. They could not present me as a producer, or I was just a pretty face that got the money and hired somebody else to produce, because
the doll.
Yeah, because probably the way I look doesn't allow me the capability to think a little bit further. But it's okay. You know, I think that sometimes instead of being angry, that helped me to become stronger and decide, you know, there were a couple of critics even in my country, like, how dare you decide to do a film on this very serious subject? It's so political, why you? And I think that we just have to dare.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that we are women or not women. I think the only way to empower ourselves also is to stop falling into that category where everybody says that we're always in competition and that we are always like fighting among each other or trying to attack each other.
Yeah.
If we have to actually be that one girl that is not jealous, that is not creating competition, that is actually opening those doors for the rest. And like I said, not only women, but also men, because that's the real change.
Of course, of course. So.
And sitting on that position of power, I think it's beautiful because it brings a more compassionate point of view from being a woman, because we are not just protectors, but we are preservers.
Yes, for sure. So, Now it's the turn of Rula, dear Rula. Can you present a little bit yourself? And
yes, sure.
Yes, please go.
My name is Rula Nasser. I'm from Jordan, and I'm a film producer. I produce different kind of films, from documentaries to fiction. And my topics in the films, it's more social, and it tackles as well women issues. My first film was about a woman who get divorced and how she can adapt in a community that is tough to accept a divorced woman that is asking for her independence. Mm-hmm. And I had another film that is tackling love stories. And I have more films. I'm here to present 2 projects that are in Cannes market.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. And I will ask you the same question. What is your pinch for that you will give for women empowerment? What are you doing especially for that topic?
I think all women in their daily days, they do things to put this pinch, because it's once we are on the ground working, whether I'm a film producer or whether a cooker, especially in the Middle East, on the Arab world, they are trying to put a mark that things will change, because it's a process that is going on. 20 years ago, you will not find any woman producer in our areas, but now if you go and shoot any film, there's producers, there is gaffers, there is a DOPs. So it's ongoing process. In addition, since I'm working in films and in media in general, it's an important tool for women to change. Yeah. I always say, like, we are lucky to be or refined, but if you go to our countries, there is a lot of women that needs those tools. For while working on the ground, we are opening channels for those women to be part of us.
You are speaking about tools.
Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit more about that? What do you mean by tools?
I mean, it's in images, it's a films. I worked for a good time in empowering women through films, which is giving them the tool of being able to advocate for their stories or for issues through films. And now, it's open all over the world. You have YouTube, you have social media. So if you have any issues, you can really find a backup if you have this tool, and you can use it with the iPhone, with a small mobile.
Exactly. Thank you. So Aya, your turn. Hello.
So my name is Aya Blouchi, and I'm Qatari, and my mom comes from Lebanon. So. I'm a film producer, but I also work at the Doha Film Institute as the Senior Youth Programs Coordinator. And I'm also the founder and the managing partner of Seat 26 Productions, a production house that mainly focuses on working with first and second-time filmmakers, but our main focus is working with students, empowering them, really giving them that opportunity to work on film sets, to make their films. So we are actually at Cannes with a short called Soldier 888 for filmmaker and first-time director Bashir Abu Zaid. He's only 22 years old, but he wrote and we filmed the whole short film in 48 hours, part of the 48 Film Hour Challenge in Beirut. The film won 8 awards and it went to Hollywood, and it's now at the Cannes Short Film Corner. So mainly what I do is, whether through my production house or my full-time job at Doha Film Institute, is to really promote film education, film literacy, promote resources that will allow filmmakers or aspiring filmmakers to really get the right tools for them to learn a cinematic language, to be able to critique and have a choice in terms of what they would like to see, but to also enable them in the future to become our future filmmakers. So I'm really working with the young ones. So I work with students as young as 4 years old up to 22 years old, and first and second time filmmakers, so different ages there, but yeah.
And to raise the project, to etc. etc. Is it something that you do sometimes in that kind of topic, woman empowerment, that you see, that you encounter a lot, or maybe too few?
Well,
what do you see?
I was very lucky, I have to say, as a woman and as a girl in my own society to even take on the roles that I had. I'm one of the very few Qatari Lebanese, and maybe the only one with that mix to be a film producer. But I also work with a lot of women filmmakers who are really also struggling sometimes to make their own films. As a film producer, I don't only look for funds, but I also invest and I support filmmakers in general. But whenever I have the opportunity to work on a project for a woman where we're really trying to highlight social issues in our community, especially in the Arab world, I'd be the first one to be on board with that project. In addition to all of that, every year around September, we also raise funds to enroll students in schools. I highly believe in education, and women empowering, I think, for me, starts from there. Instead of having, children on the streets, whether they're boys or girls, for me, they should be at schools. So I would do anything I can, and we do raise funds, especially in areas where we feel that, areas of conflict sometimes, where it's very hard for families to really enroll their children in schools. Then we do come and we help. And we're currently also raising funds right now for a school in Nepal after the earthquake, so that we can rebuild the schools and have more than 100 students at least go back to their schools.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Joanne, please tell us about yourself.
By trade, I'm a writer-producer, but I now head up Terra Mater Film Studios, which is the cinema division for Red Bull.
Yes.
Which is an unexpected move for the company, but a very welcome move. And I was actually as I look back on my career, I find myself very fortunate that, whether by just good fortune, that the most influential bosses I had were all women. They were women that started independent production companies, then went on to be channel leads of BBC Two, or they're now very high-powered in the media world. And although I think that was not necessarily the norm, it's been incredibly impactful on me that I have worked for women who I have seen push forward and be successful, not necessarily compromise their family lives. They've got married, they've had children.
For you, it was already normal.
It was kind of already normal. And this is going back to the 1980s when I graduated and I was first working. So I was extremely fortunate that I just had one immensely inspiring female boss after another, and I watched their careers go on and succeed. And so the one thing that tells you is if you see it, you believe it. You don't actually need to be convinced that it's possible, because every day you go into work, you see a real living example of it happening. And so what you kind of take away from that is it's not necessarily a message that works if you try and shout it from the rooftops. It's a kind of whisper campaign of support and confidence, where even in the smallest things that you can do, that whatever script you're working on, every time you come to look at a role that's written for a man, you think, does this have to be, is there actually a story reason why this has to be a man? Having said that, to pull myself up on my own judgment, we're screening 2 films here, and one of them is a very high-functioning science fiction film set in the world of quantum mechanics. And it has a young ensemble cast, 3 guys, 3 girls. But there's one of the cast member that is absolutely influential and is the driving force of it. And I have to say that, without necessarily thinking, I wrote that character as a man or as a boy. Possibly because I still have inbuilt science fiction tropes that tell me this is science, this is quantum mechanics, believably this has to be a guy. My co-writing directing partner that I've made 3 movies with, who is a guy, was the first person to come on and say to me, why is this character male? Isn't it infinitely more interesting that we make it a female? And again, the lesson that you learn from that is that sexism isn't gender-based. There are some men who are more devoted to empowering women than there are women. And there are just as many women who would tear you down as there are men. So I see it more and more that I love it when my own assumptions are questioned. And as soon as we turned that character from being a male to female, the film took on a totally different dimension. And it's been one of the smartest things that happened, but I have to say it wasn't my suggestion, it was the director who instantly said. And so every so often you have to check your own boxes. But if you're going to ask me what my pinch is, which I think is a lovely phrase, I've never heard it before, thank God you three answered before I had to. But I would say that you know, my pinch on it is nothing beats witnessing it working. And so what our obligation is to try and actually push ourselves out there and do exactly as we're doing now. Yeah. Actually letting, you know, I have kids, I have a home life, but I'm actually able to do this career as well. There isn't the same sort of choices between it. And just do it. As you would say, not like be the change, but just kind of, just show that it's possible and just not make a big deal out of it. And
that's it.
That's it.
Yeah, at the end, I totally understand you, because myself personally, I've been born and raised in such family like this. So for me, I discovered later that was not enabled everywhere, you know.
Yeah.
And that was a big surprise actually. It was like, oh yeah, okay. So this I understood, and to say that it has to be done. It has to be done like it was normal, and one day we will forget it wasn't.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
how I see it. Personally.
Exactly.
So, Aurelia, please tell a little bit about yourself, please.
Alors, moi, je m'appelle Aurelia Ovan, je travaille pour la fondation Womanity, une fondation de droit privé qui a été fondée en 2005, donc il y a 10 ans maintenant. Nous sommes basés à Genève. Et les objectifs principaux de Womanity sont de donner accès à une éducation de qualité pour les filles et de promouvoir l'émancipation des femmes. Donc pour cela, nous avons plusieurs projets à l'étranger. Par exemple, nous avons un projet en Afghanistan qui œuvre dans des écoles afghanes de filles et qui donne accès à une éducation de qualité aux filles. Et nous essayons de développer un modèle d'éducation dans le pays que nous transposons dans d'autres écoles du pays. Donc ce projet touche actuellement plus de 20 000 élèves afghanes. Donc c'est un joli succès pour nous. Nous avons aussi d'autres projets, comme par exemple au Moyen-Orient, où nous avons créé une radio pour les femmes, gérée par les femmes. Et c'est une radio commerciale. Donc le but de cette radio est de donner une voix aux femmes dans des circonstances qui ne sont pas forcément les plus favorables. Et nous créons des débats autour des fictions qui sont diffusées. Et l'objectif est de donner vraiment une voix aux femmes dans cette société. Nous avons également des projets en Inde, au Brésil, où nous soutenons des entrepreneurs sociaux, donc des entrepreneurs qui ont des projets en faveur des femmes, que ce soit des projets de développement économique et social des femmes ou des projets en faveur des femmes qui sont touchées d'une certaine façon par la violence. Nous soutenons ces entrepreneuses, que ce soit financièrement ou nous les connectons avec des organisations qui peuvent les aider à développer leurs projets et à l'étendre encore davantage. Voilà un peu les objectifs de Womanity.
Thank you. Thank you. And how do you see the evolution of women empowerment in the work you do as a main actor, while, for instance, founding this girl and woman radio in Middle East? How was this experience? Could you tell us a bit about this, please?
Alors pourquoi avoir fondé cette radio? Cette radio donne une voix aux femmes. Elle permet de donner une voix large et d'être diffusée plus largement. Et en parallèle de cette radio, nous avons aussi créé une fiction radiophonique avec une actrice star. Et en fait, l'idée, c'est de créer une fiction tout autour du rôle de la femme dans la société, un rôle d'une journaliste. La fiction raconte l'histoire d'une journaliste qui est confrontée à des barrières relativement classiques pour les femmes qui n'arrivent pas à évoluer dans la société comme elles le souhaiteraient parce qu'elle n'est pas un homme. Et cette radio a été diffusée bizarrement dans des pays où le droit des femmes est très très limité. Et justement, c'est assez surprenant et c'est une très belle victoire pour nous de pouvoir diffuser cette radio fiction qui a été très bien acceptée dans des pays du Moyen-Orient qui sont très sensibles au niveau du droit des femmes. Donc nous avons des petits succès comme ça qui sont assez extraordinaires.
Decided to create this radio station in Afghanistan, well, like I said before, is to give a voice to women. We actually created a fictional radio show with the role, the main role being a woman who is a journalist and who faces every day the typical issues that women face that kind of stops them from moving forward and stops them from actually realizing their full potential. We've been lucky to have this radio show being diffused around the world, and especially what's been surprising about the show is that a lot of countries in the Middle East have opened up to it, and these are countries where women face many challenges and are most of the time suppressed in a certain way. So we're very happy that this type of show gets to go out to these places in the world where women really need to be heard and to be understood in a special way.
Okay, thank you, very clear, very clear. So, Audrey, please go ahead.
Okay, so I will try in English to beginning. So I'm the president of the annual selection of women filmmakers. I've decided to create it in 2012 because I'm French and I also am a screenwriter and a filmmaker, and when I go to a screening in Paris, for example, I meet a lot of men filmmakers, but rarely women filmmakers. So the Eroïne, my label, began with this idea. It's a promotion of women filmmakers. So I chose like 9 short films per year, but it's very different topics. I don't want to make a kind of special feminine topics because I don't think men would like to watch and I think it's a film. It's for everybody, and that's why I would like to show that women filmmakers could do film like a man filmmakers. So it's a selection with 9 short films from 1 minute to 25 minutes. And we have science fiction, drama, comedies, and different subjects. And I think it's like a fresh air of this idea of women filmmakers, because some people think that women talked about women and for women, and I think it's a mistake.
And ever since you began, did you see any improvement, any change come from your action? Did the things are already moved?
Yeah,
yes.
Since 2012, yeah, of course. In Festival of Cannes, we see a lot of women filmmakers, and I think it's about to change. And I see also at the school of director and producers and screenwriters also, we could see that there are a lot of women who want to make films, and technicians also, camera operator and this kind of posts in cinema. So yes, I think that it's about to change and to evaluate, and minds also evaluate like that. So I think we are in a special way, and this way it's open for women. So we have to do things now, because it's the point for women to make and to do things for us. Yeah, I think so.
Thank you for this this intervention. So we're speaking about tools, about teachings, about how to make it appear normal. Out of the solution that has been already enunciated here, do anybody has a further idea, a further solution to bring for apart from what has been proposed already?
I think whenever you get a situation where the core is something creative, so if we look at like filmmaking, with it starting with a script, I'm not aware that there's a great deal of prejudice against a screenplay that's been written by a woman, because we're allowed to own creativity. The biggest objection that I kind of find is when it comes to issues of management and control, that the reason why there are still so few female directors is because the hardest thing that we're trying to fight against is that a woman can control a crew, that a woman can command the respect of a crew, and that a woman actually has the authority. Even though we've had women run governments, even though we have Angela Merkel, and God knows we had Margaret Thatcher, it still seems incredible that you can have very powerful women in other elements of commerce. You can have women who are running multinational campaigns, and nobody thinks it extraordinary that she can control a board of directors. But there is something still very persistent and fundamental, because I think making a film is almost like a military operation, that when you have 200 crew around you, and still sadly predominantly a male crew, there is still an absence of trust on the part of financiers that when things get tough, a woman will hold that control. So we have maybe Catherine Bigelow that we can point to, who does action films, hardcore films, who clearly can run a set, who clearly can command the respect of her crew. The problem is there is only Catherine Bigelow. And I always think that we have to get to a point where you can have 3 names on a list. The minute you have a choice of 3 names on a list, you start to feel the problem has gone away. And I know that obviously Catherine is extremely vocal and extremely proactive in everything that she tries to do. But the one piece of advice that she gave is that if you do want to be a female director, if you try to become a female director through being a writer, you will face issues, because we're allowed to be writers, but that doesn't mean we can control. She says you have to start on the floor. Whether you start as a runner, whether you start as a best boy, but you have to start as a technician. Because that's the only way that a crew will believe that you speak their language, that you know how to haul a light from the back of the truck.
And that's beyond the gender.
And that is beyond gender. But although it's not fair, and although it's not necessarily logical, there is no reason why it wouldn't. Plenty of male screenwriters, the Steve Gagans, the Tony Gilroys, they just transcend immediately from being a screenwriter to being a director. And nobody says, well, you're wonderfully creative, but what are you going to do when, your grips threaten to take a long lunch? But as a woman, perhaps, you have to actually arm yourself with some on-the-floor experience in order to make that step towards actually being able to control a crew. But we need to get a list of 3. We need to be able to have a conversation where we say there's Catherine Bigelow, there's and then we've won it.
Yeah, but that's what Aurelia is doing in a way with his foundation to prepare women for this role.
Yeah.
At least in the mind, and one day in reality, hopefully.
Yeah.
Everywhere. That's it. That's it.
But to what you're saying, I think another event that's very phenomenal, and we see it here with the different jury members that we have as part of Cannes. We have 3 big Arab filmmakers, Nadine Labake, Joanne Reay, and Haifa Al-Mansour. They all come from environments where they've really proven themselves as directors, they've established themselves. And I mean, to be on the jury of Cannes, that also says a lot from the region where Rula and I come from. It's hard, yes, it has its own challenges, but at the end of the day, we're seeing talent, and talent is here. They've made it on an international platform, so. And I'd love to see even more of that. So I think that's extremely important and crucial to have a film industry, because women will eventually tell the stories that are not being told, and they will have their own little touch on things. So yeah, I totally agree. We've added a couple more names there.
I think that when you're saying other ideas to make changes, I come from a Latin American country, which is probably a little bit more similar to the Middle East or Italy, or maybe more different than other parts in Europe. So our realities sometimes are a little bit different, but I truly believe that when you say to change this, a real way to change this is us as women, as mothers, as sisters, as grandmothers, as aunties in the house, because we keep on feeding this difference in gender between your little sister and your brother. You know, oh no, go serve your brother, or go, no, that's a girl's thing, that's a guy's thing, you're not supposed. And unfortunately, we do this since forever, because it's kind of embedded in in us.
Almost.
It's sort of like, okay, my dad arrived, I have to stand up and serve him. My brother's watching TV, and it's okay because that's how I grew up, and that's what I will teach probably my daughters. So we need to make the effort to really change and observe, as she was saying, you know, observe ourselves. Where is in our mind that we actually are the ones putting those blockages on us and our families and in our daily living? You know, how sometimes we can talk under of another woman and rise up, oh no, but he will do a better work. Why? Because he's a man. And sometimes we say it. And it's not only, I think, a gender thing, but it's a cultural thing. And I think we need to change that from within, you know, oh no, you have to be a lady. You don't dress that way. You have to be, because you are supposed to this or that.
And how do you see it happen in a smooth way? Because we all know, I guess, but we all know that too upfront approach are in general creating backfires and stuff. But if it's always possible to do things smoothly. So how do you see it? How is it for you?
Well, personally, I think the #1 thing is, like, we should not be even talking about this. I mean, it's 2015 and we're talking about women having opportunities. It's so depressing that we have to talk about this. World War happened, you know, like we're like on a third World War. But I really think that it has to be an action taking where I make it work. I don't know what's gonna happen outside. I only see this happen if I make it for real, and I know that whoever is gonna be surrounded around me is gonna do the same, or at least in my presence, I'm gonna create that change. Now it's so funny because I started without, and it's like I am repeating myself, but I think the only way to do it is it's like that. And then, you know, we truly inspire other women, you know, by not allowing, okay, I'm sorry, you don't talk like that in front of me. I don't care.
For sure.
And that was my rule in my production. I ran like 200 people for basically 3 months. It was a very big production. And of course, everybody, I have 4 laws here. Nobody screams. I am your boss, but I'm not going to scream. You don't do your job second time you go. Third, there's no girl-boy talk. You know, there is, and we all help each other. If you're a girl and he's carrying, and he needs help carrying something, you carry because you're a girl, or whatever. And if the man has to do something and you have to serve the coffee, you will serve the coffee because we're being a team. I try to do that and still fail many times, you know, and we will keep on failing. But I think we just have to try to just like do it. And we're gonna keep on making a lot of mistakes. And then eventually, hopefully, we can really stop talking about this and start really seeing us as maybe, I'm not gonna say equals, because we are not the same. We're very different and we're beautiful the way we are. Yeah. And women love men, men love women, and you know, this is how we keep on making more population for the world, per se. But it's really about understanding and seeing the reality as a human being rather than as a man or a woman.
Yeah, this is it. This is how, personally, I always saw that, that we are human beings before to be gender separated. Yes. That's for sure. That's for sure.
I can add something about that, because I think we have to be together, and what happens during
That's what you
70s
a lot
and
of
80s
men.
about feminism, etc. Men couldn't be a part of it. You know what I mean? Because
yes, they were excluded from it.
Yeah, and I think today we can and we could work together. That's the point of today.
Exactly.
At the end, we have to.
Of course, we're different. Of course, we're different. But you don't have to put men outside.
No.
It's the era of the 70s and 80s. I think so.
I think so too.
The best thing that I think is going to happen is with social platforms, which are now everywhere, this generation, my daughters are now 21 and 24, they would never get their news from a broadcaster. They would never collect their news from, in the first instance, from a recognized news corporation of any sort. The way that they find out about the world, the way that they find out about events is predominantly through social platforms and social communities, which means stereotypes, which do hold us back, which are usually created by the media and sustained by the media for reasons that we all know and understand too well, will inevitably break down because news and perceptions and opinions will be gathered peer to peer. So the closer the reality is, so the way that my daughters experience activism and political activity, if it was through a traditional news source, then no doubt it would be probably focusing on the male political leaders or male spokespersons. Because they get it through social media, they say there are young women recording events with their iPhones, doing their own commentary. So the more awareness of world events and socio-political change comes through peer-to-peer, then media stereotypes will cease to exist. And as soon as the media stereotypes cease to exist, then we break out of that shell. There's nothing that's holding us in. There's no power greater than us that is trying to constantly put that image on the front of the magazine, or, you know, here's a piece of very serious news, but, you know, here's a girl in a bikini who's worried about kittens.
It's almost a Pavlovian reflex.
Yeah, no,
that
absolutely.
we have to break. Yeah.
So they get their news, they get their opinions, they get their perceptions peer to peer. And nobody on a peer-to-peer platform has any interest in imposing their media stereotypes on anybody else. And I think that's going to be the biggest breakdown. A news corporation can no longer belittle us by having, you know, a male world leader and then a picture of a beautiful woman with a kitten. You know, that's gone now. Actually, there's a lot of kittens. Kittens are doing well on media platforms.
But when I launched the film, my film, so there is a magazine like Le Monde in my country, in Bolivia. And when I launched my film as a producer, it's very political. They put in the cover of the Le Monde magazine, like very famous, very political. I'm not going to say the name. And there's the face of the vice president, like and there's a picture of me when I was 13, when I was modeling, where I'm in a bikini, and it says like Carla Ortiz is not producer, with a bikini. I mean, come on. And this is happening, you know? And you go like, and it's funny what you say, like they're not gonna choose, they probably will keep on choosing. Because it's just what happens. It just happened to me, you know? But I think that's the point, that me, you know, if my children won't know how to do that anymore, when he's gonna be in that position, he's not gonna let that happen because he's not gonna think that way. Might take a little time, but
it will come.
Just adding a little bit with everything that we've been discussing, I think giving opportunities really, I mean, giving the chance for women through education, making them believe that they can actually get to these positions, dream about being a doctor, dream about getting a parliament position, dream about being a filmmaker or a scriptwriter or working on a set, or just, if it's her choice to just, remain a runner or develop and then be a filmmaker, I think...
The choice.
The choice, but also giving the opportunity, letting them know that, yes, you can try.
Yes.
It's okay if you fail, but each failure will bring success. So this is also something else women need to be aware of. So.
Okay, so we're almost at the end of this wonderful panel about women empowerment. I think we empowered a lot. That is cool. If anyone, each and every one of you had a message to tell to boys and girls of the world, what would it be? Let's begin by Audrey, maybe.
Yeah. When I talked about my association, I said that we are not in a fight, and I'm not about to fight someone or something. I'm about to make peace.
Not war. So.
Tous autour de cette table, on est tous d'accord pour dire que l'émancipation de la femme passe par l'éducation. Et je pense qu'il faut qu'on garde vraiment ça à l'esprit et qu'on œuvre pour l'éducation des filles qui transmettront une bonne image un jour à leurs enfants, et la société en sera que plus développée.
Merci Aurelia. Joanne?
I would say that going back to something that you said, that actually changes in the tiny details. You don't have to feel that you have to get up and join a campaign. You don't have to feel you have to get up and fight for some huge international cause. What you have to feel is that it's the small, what's called everyday sexism, that if you're in a conversation and an inappropriate comment is said, speak up and don't let it go by unremarked upon, because it's the tiny comments, it's the tiny details, it's the tiny reflexes which, if you constantly pick up on them, will eventually stop being made. So I would say don't think you have to join a huge campaign. Just have the courage that if you are in part of a conversation and there's an inappropriate action or an inappropriate, just speak up and don't let it pass unremarked upon.
Thank you, Joanne.
I think that, and I strongly believe, because that's how I go with how I do things as a woman myself. I'm a dreamer. I dream and I aspire and I really want to make it sometime in this world. And I truly encourage people to chase their dreams and grab every opportunity they can get. This is really what will get them out there. Work hard, yes, but also earn your respect and stand up exactly for what you believe in, because, believing in yourself and trusting in yourself, I think, a woman who's really confident and is capable and knows exactly what she's capable of doing, I know will shake mountains.
Thank you, Aya. Rula?
Okay. I will say, like, the world has a space for both, and don't waste time just fighting between each other. Try to follow enjoying life and humanity.
Thank you. And dear Carla, you will...
Well, basically it's true. I mean, if we are seeing it and we keep on seeing the world, if you want something, you can get it. It's not gonna be easy, but you can get it if you really dream about it, and eventually things and people are gonna start appearing around you that are gonna help you make it and make it happen. And you can make it alone, and I can make it alone, but we can make it together. And together we can make it better, nicer, and greater. So that would be it.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Horyou. Thank you, the Festival of Cannes as well. And see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.